In Venezuela, the legislature unanimously rejected the coercive measures supported by the extreme right-wing opposition following the revocation of the license of the U.S. oil company Chevron to operate in the country. More details with our colleague Leonardo Urrieta.
Todas las bancadas de las distintas tendencias políticas.
All the benches of the different political tendencies in the National Assembly expressed their rejection of this new measure of the U.S. government against the U.S. oil company Chevron, revoking its license to operate in Venezuela. The parliamentarians of the government party support the declarations of President Nicolas Maduro, where he assured that these sanctions against the U.S. oil company were promoted by a reduced sector of the opposition related to the international extreme right.
Aquí está. A su servicio y a sus órdenes, la ley orgánica.
Here it is, at your service and at your orders, the Simón Bolívar Liberator Organic Law against the imperialist blockade and in defense of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. We urge, dear prosecutor, that this law be applied and that all those who have promoted these actions against Venezuela pay with jail, pay with disqualifications, pay with the law of forfeiture of ownership, that the full weight of this law fall upon them.
Que caiga sobre ellos todo el peso de esta ley.
Los diputados a la Asamblea Nacional.
The deputies to the National Assembly recall that the more than 1,000 illegal sanctions applied by Washington will not stop the will of the Venezuelan people to be free and sovereign.
Venezuelans are courageous men and women. We are libertarian men and women. We are men and women who of course profess the self-determination of peoples, and in this context we will not accept imposition of any nature.
We the workers are ready, prepared to assume responsibility for production in Venezuela, including the entire productive class at the national level.
For its part,
the alternative democratic opposition, which is active in the legislative branch, condemned in a united manner that some extremist spokespersons are calling for economic sanctions against Venezuela.
The bad thing is that there are Venezuelans who ask for this to happen. The bad thing is that there are Venezuelans who are happy with this. The bad thing is that there are Venezuelans who aspire to be deputies, governors and the legislative council and want the country to go bad. And that there are sanctions, but they have double morals. They talk horrorously about the country, but tomorrow we see them wanting to register to be candidates for governors and mayors.
And then these pseudo-leaders go to the United States to ask Donald Trump, to ask the great powers to also come and sanction Venezuela? Do they not feel sympathy? Do they not have a heart? Do they not have children? Do they not have mothers, fathers, elderly people in their homes?
Venezuela will grow and prevail in the face of the constant attacks of the U.S. imperialism and its allies in Venezuela. This was stated by the deputy and historical parliamentary leader of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Fernando Soto Rojas.
We
will resist and we will win. We know that imperialism cannot be granted even a little bit. As Che Guevara said, we will continue developing our national industry, our national economy, strengthening the Bolivarian revolution.
The Venezuelan state as a whole warns that any Venezuelan who calls for sanctions against the country will be punished based on the provisions of the Simón Bolívar Organic Law to protect Venezuela from the attacks of the White House.
En la Cámara de Carlos Quintero, Leonardo Urrieta, teleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.